Now then, crew, and welcome back to the Andy Mechanic YouTube channel. We've got the little Ifor Williams LT105G back in the workshop. It was quite some time ago that I did the brake adjustment on the drum brakes on this particular trailer. I think we replaced a hub bearing at the same time. Now it's failed the warrant of fitness. That's the inspection here in New Zealand on some bushes on the rear axle. Now the bushes the gentleman, the warranty inspector, told me had failed, that have got excessive play, are the ones at the front of the leaf spring. So I called the local Ifor Williams agent in Cambridge. I said, hey, I need some new bushes for my LT105G. It's about a 2007, I think it was, when it was new. Have you got any in stock? And they said to me, Andy, did you buy the trailer from us? And I said, no, I didn't. I brought it from England when I came to New Zealand in 2009. Does that make a difference? They said, yes, we can't sell you the bushes. What? You're an Ifor Williams distributor and you're only selling parts to people that have bought the trailers from you? That doesn't seem right. Anyway, I went on to explain that I've bought another trailer, but I did buy that one from them, one of the larger triaxle flatbeds. And then they said, in that case, because you bought a trailer from us, we will sell you the bushes that you need. Unfortunately, we haven't got any. They won't be here till the end of May, about a 5-week delay at the earliest. Well, this little trailer is in regular use. I can't wait 5 weeks. So in this video, we're going to pull out one of the bushes. So I've got something to match up a new one to. And then I'll try and source an aftermarket bush from something that will fit. And then we'll put them in. And then it can get its warrant and get back on the road. Here we go. Used.
You don't paint something without wiping.
Honestly. Now, first of all, I went on to the Ifor Williams trailer website and looked up the genuine parts. And they've got a number of catalogues here, or you can download the whole catalogue, or you can download little sub-catalogues, depending on what you need. So I downloaded this one, which is the running gear and wheel equipment. I think that one should cover what we need. So this is the page of that catalogue once it's downloaded, showing all the various bits and pieces. And it's titled Unbraked Axles and Suspension Components. Well, my axles are braked, but I've looked further down this catalogue and I can't see any other part or any other page that covers bushes in the leaf springs. So I'm thinking that maybe it's not quite labelled correctly. And I can see here we've got a bush number 1. There, look. Now there is also a bush number 2, but I believe what we've got in ours is a metallastic bush. This is a bit incidental because we're not going to use genuine ones anyway. But just for your reference, this is the information that Ifor Williams have available online, and then you can use it to match up what parts you need. Extremely useful, and that's why I like Ifor Williams trailers, because they're a bit like cars. You know, you get the frame number of the trailer and you can work out what parts that you need. Now it says here for number 1, spring eye bush, that's what we're after, used in parabolic springs type C9003 and C9004, fitted up to 2001. I think that's the one that we need. I think. I could be wrong. It might be something different, but we'll get it pulled out and we'll see if it looks something like that. It doesn't give us the dimensions, that's the only thing, but I'm not too concerned because then I'll actually have a bush in hand and we can get it measured up and work out what we need. Now, I don't want to leave the trailer completely immobile. I can't have it in the workshop for the next couple of weeks. It's going to have to go out on the driveway. So my intention here is to pull a wheel off, potentially remove one leaf spring, then we can get the leaf spring on the bench, press out the bush using the hydraulic press, and then just strap that end of the axle up using a ratchet strap, so it's just got 3 wheels on the trailer, and then gingerly park it up on the grass outside the house using Trevor the tractor. Very useful for manoeuvring trailers around. And then once I've got the parts, and I'm sure I've got the right parts, then I can press that one bush into that one spring, refit that spring, and then do the other side. And that'll all be in the video, but on different days, if you know what I mean. Okay, right, where's my trolley jack? Here we go. Now, it was the rear axle forwardmost bush of each of the 2 leaf springs that the guy told me that had failed the warrant. That's the bush that's at this end of the spring. So, I'll get you close up. We'll just put some pressure under the front tyre to lift up that spring, and we'll see how much play there is. Right, see how bad these things really are, or if he's making it up. Oh, look at that. That's pretty bad. Needs to be changed. First job, wheel off. Oh, not a good day for a bad back, is it? Right, so I'm just going to clean off some of the dirt around these U-bolts on the threads, because we want to be able to reuse these. And try and take the nuts off when it's full of dirt, you can damage the threads. Not only is it makes it a lot harder for you as well. Okay, let's spray on a bit of the Forge S409. That'll just help them to come off a bit easier. Right, what size do you reckon they're going to be? 19? I have no idea, let's find out. If it is a 19, the same size as the wheel. Oh, it is! Same size as the wheel nuts. Excellent. Well done, Ifor Williams. Good job. Now, if you're using a hoist, you could use your power tools to get these off, but unfortunately I'm not. I don't have the clearance. But it won't take long. It'd be a lot easier with power with a little impact wrench on there, wouldn't it? Right, so washer and nut on each of them. I wonder if our little impact wrench will fit under there. I wonder if it will. Let's go and find out. Oh, if it does, it'll save life, make life a lot easier, won't it? Oh, there we are, look. Oh, it's too tight. That's that one. Superb. How about this one? Woohoo! That's 3. Let's try that one again. No, that one's too tight. We're not far off with that one though. It isn't really that tight, to be honest. nuts and a washer. Perfect. Right, spring base plate to come off. Where's my magic hammer? There he is. Right, that's one U-bolt. One base plate, one bump stop, and the other U-bolt. The axle is now completely free from the spring. Super job.
Now then crew, Tall Girl Holly here. Don't miss the next live stream, 8:30 AM Sunday.
Right, I'm going to use a ratchet strap to hold that axle up off the leaf spring so we can safely remove the leaf spring, and for later on I can move the trailer quite easily. First job is to reinstall one of those wheel bolts into the top of the hub, so we've got something to connect the ratchet strap to. There we go, doesn't need to be all the way in, leave it about ½ an inch out. How are we looking? That'll work, grommets. Perfect. Right, now for that front bolt on the spring. There we go. Some more protruding threads, so we'll give those a bit of a wire brush, get the worst off. That really is quite worn, isn't it? I think the guy did quite well to spot that. Depending on the price and how easy it is to change them, I might just replace all four. Okay, so now we've got that the dirt cleaned out. We'll put some more of that S409 on there. There we go. Stick him back up there out of the way. Okay, now is it a 19 again? Oh, it is! Honestly, Ifor Williams, well done. That's excellent. Now, this is going to get really noisy, so cover your ears. There we go. Right, we're going in. Are you ready? Wow, that wasn't bad. That bolt's been in there for 14 years. Oh, look at this! That shouldn't happen, should it? Right, back to the bench. Right, we have the spring off the trailer. Good job. Very easy, in fact. Now, the bush is completely shot. Look at this. It's a metal elastic bush, and the inner tube, this bit, should be bonded to the remaining rubber on the inside of that bush there. Look, I can feel the remnants of bits of rubber. We'll take a closer look once we've got it pressed out. And that's the next job. To the press. Here we go. Right, let's see how we get on with this. Is it going to play ball? It should do. I mean, it's not a closed piece of metal. It is spring steel, so there shouldn't be too much force, he says, on that eyelet. This is the same 90mm socket, actually. If we can do the whole job with one socket, it'd be fantastic. Now, obviously, be super careful with your PPE, because things can go flying in presses, as we all know. Right, just try and get it centralised at the bottom. There we go. Jeez! Let's have a little corrective session. So we've got it moving. That was a good bang, wasn't it? Okay. There are other ways of getting these out if you don't have a press. There we go, try that. So it's moved about 1 millimetre so far. There we go. And she's moving quite happily. Yes, I'll show you when we get to the back to the bench, if you haven't got a press, how you can get these out. I used to do them out in the field in the forest, sometimes if we were really stuck. Now, it's very important when you choose a socket to push through that you choose a socket that is a smaller diameter, otherwise it's going to get stuck in the spring. And then you'll have to press that out. So you'll have a job to do twice. Wait. Boom! Right, at some point the whole lot's going to fall down. I've only got one spare arm. There we go, look. Right. We have the remains of the bush. Perfect. See you at the bench. Right, well, we're back and we've got the outer part of the bush extracted from the spring. Yes, easy job. And of course, we've got the empty spring now. Now, if you don't have a press, let's get rid of these, don't need those anymore. If you don't have a press, then notice that the spring is a coiled piece of steel where it actually has an end just here. That you can see the line down there, look. If you were to mount this in the vise, and to hammer in some very high quality pound through flat bladed screwdrivers, one on this side in that gap and one in this side in that gap, what it will do, and only hammer them in, you know, maybe 2 or 3 mil of opening of that eyelet, because they've got a ramp, obviously a taper on the end of the screwdriver. As you tap them in, that eyelet will start to open up slightly. Don't go mad, you don't need a lot of movement, but that will take the clamping force off the bush to some extent, and then you can use a hammer and the appropriate size socket to pound the bush through the spring. Very simple. Obviously the more corrosion there is, the harder it can be to do, but it's actually quite a neat trick if you don't have a press, and it does really help. I'm not saying it's going to fall out, because it won't, but it will make life a lot easier if you don't have the press. Okay, so the spring to one side, don't need that anymore until we get the new bushes. What we do have is the new bush, the old bush. So what I now need to know in order to get new ones of these is I need to know what the ID is, the size of the hole down the middle where the bolt goes. Hang on. That's the bolt there, look. So that's, as you saw on the trailer, that has to go through there. So I could just measure the bolts, but I'd rather measure the bush. There shouldn't be any movement really between the bolt and the bush. This one does have a little bit, so maybe I'll measure the bolt. Maybe it's a little bit worn inside there, because don't forget, this thing's been banging around metal to metal for quite some time. So we need to know the ID of the bush, that's that hole there, and we need to know the OD, the outside diameter of the bush as well. That's that distance there. So we'll get some verniers and do that in a second. We also need to know the length of the bush as well. And of course, I will take this with me while I'm on the road to go and get some new ones, just so we can match it up. You will also notice very slightly that the inner tube is a little tiny bit longer than the outer tube, and that's to allow some clearance so that the bush itself doesn't rub on the bracket off the trailer that holds the spring. Right, measurement time. Here we go. Okay, first of all, the bolt. So we measure the bolt. That will give us the ID of the actual, make sure we're zeroed, we are, of the bush. And that comes up at 11.82. That's a strange number. Doesn't look quite metric, does it? Pretty sure it is metric from the UK. Okay, we'll make a note, 11.8. That'll do. 11.8 for the ID. So, ID is 11.8 millimeters. Now, what will be interesting is to measure to see what the actual inside of this bush is. Obviously, it's going to be a lot larger because it's worn. Yeah, 12.25. It's probably worn in different orientations as well. Yeah, 12.25 to 90 degrees, 12.38. Very worn, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, 12.4. Wow. Okay. So, you know, all we need to know is what size bolt goes through. We've got 11.8 mil as the bolt size, so that will do just fine. Now, the bush outer. This shouldn't wear. This was nice and tight in the spring. So we've got 28.23, 28.17. There's a little bit of rust on there, so we'll just make another measurement. 28.2, I'll just measure it down this end as well. 28.34, 28.17. So I think 28.2 would be a fair measurement. Yeah, because there is a little bit of rust on there as well, look. Okay, what's it like on the middle? 28.36, 28.2. I think 28.2 will do just fine. Okay, so OD of 28.2 millimeters, approximately. If anything, we can go slightly larger, because don't forget, the spring will just give a little bit. Normally, we wouldn't have to do this, would we? Normally, we'd be able to order the Ifor Williams ones, but they haven't got any. Now, looking at this, there is a bit of a burr. I think that's just due to wear, actually. It is very worn. It's been metal on metal for some time. You can see how it's eaten into the bush down there. In fact, let me turn the torch on and we'll have a look. Yes, you can see in there, look. All the rubber is completely gone on one side of the bush. And it's been metal to metal contact, where this little tube has been basically sat hard against the metalwork. Hence why it was so noisy on the road. Crazy. And you don't get a lot of rubber, look. Look how thick the rubber is. If you go to the opposite side, that's probably the least worn amount of rubber. It's only about 3 millimeters of rubber in that bush. Done well though. 14 years old. About 130,000 kilometers. Good job, Ifor Williams. Right, now we need to know the length of the bush. And bearing in mind that the tube is slightly longer. So, let's measure this one first. So the outer is 49.92, probably 50 mil in all honesty. It is slightly burred on this end. That again might just be dirt residue actually. I think it is. So 49. Wait, what happened there? Silly micrometer thing. Verniers. Let's just try that. Yeah, 50 mil. Let's go with 50 mil. So the outer length OD, and then the length was 50 millimeters. The tube, the inner, let's see what the length of that is. This should be, in theory, a little bit longer. Ah, there we are, look. 52.15 or thereabouts. 52.14. 52. I reckon 52 is going to be the reading. 52 millimeters. So that gives you a 1 mil clearance at the either side of the bush. Get it? In the tube. Funny. Right, so I've got the measurements I need, and of course I've now got a sample. Perfect. Right, I've got what I need. I've got the old bush to match up, and of course I've got the dimensions. I'm going to hit the road. I'll be gone for about a week, and hopefully when I come back I'll have 4 new ones of these bushes, because I think I'm going to replace the front axle ones at the same time, because if the rears are this badly worn, the fronts won't be too far behind. In the meantime, here's a message from Tool Girl Holly.
Hey! While Andy's doing that, check out my Instagram page, Tool Girl Holly.
Ah, there you are. I'm back. Another whole week has passed, and I have some great news. Very, very helpful company down in the South Island of New Zealand. There's a new Ifor Williams dealer down there, Atlas Trailers. Super job. Managed to find their website because the dealership in Cambridge didn't have any of these bushes. So I reached out to them and they sent me 4 new ones. Exactly the right one. Genuine Ifor Williams parts, so we know that they're going to fit. I did try in Auckland to try and match up, you know, some aftermarket kind of bushes based on the dimensions, but in all honesty, it just didn't happen. There just wasn't anything out there that I could find anyway. So we have all 4. That'd be a good thumbnail actually, wouldn't it? I must do that later on. So next job is to, oh, by the way, we've got the trailer on Trevor the tractor today. Yes, he's been shunting trailers around all morning. So I thought, well, just leave the trailer on the tractor, much easier. Okay, so let's go and press this new bush into the spring. Here we go. Oakley dokley. Right, so we've got to do many things with only 2 arms. We've got the bush, we've got a socket of a slightly smaller diameter. And the trick with these is you can even get them started in the vise, to be honest, if you really want to. But I think we'll be all right. Let's give it a go. Obviously, eye protection is in place. Right, I think we're about there. Shouldn't take a lot because it's pretty clean. I have sprayed a bit of silicone spray just in there just to help it sort of slide in. If it starts to go off a little bit, we'll just rejig. Oh, look at that. It's going in quite nicely, isn't it? We're not quite central on here, but I think things are okay. Now, if you haven't got a press, then there's many other different ways you can use. You can put it, if it's not too hard, you can press it in using a vise. Most people have a vise. Or I suppose worst case scenario, you can hammer it in, but that's, you usually find that this metal is quite soft, so you can end up distorting that quite a bit. Now the reason why I've used a socket here rather than just put the bush straight onto here is, of course, we've got that 1mm protrusion from the center tube, and I don't want to stress out the rubber, you know. So we won't be able to go all the way down. We'll have to just move the little plates a little bit in a minute. There we go. That's as far as we can go. That's about a 1mm gap at the top. So we'll bring that up. Dead fly. That's all we need, I think. Right, now the next job is just to separate these plates a little bit, and then we can pop it through the middle there, can't we? There we go. Okay. We're just going to keep going down until that silver, the outer diameter of the bush, is flush level with the edge of the eye of the spring. I would say we're there. That was so easy. Good job. That'll do me just fine. Right. Now, that was so easy. Using a press does the trick very, very, very quickly, and also it's quite controlled. Like I said before, you can either use a vise, or if you at an absolute push stuck at the side of the road, you can always hammer them in. But it's not ideal because, like I said before, the metal work, the tubing, the steel used for the actual bushes themselves is actually quite soft, and you can very easily distort it. And I think the reason for that is it's so that it sort of molds into the spring eye of the eye of the spring and grips in position. Now, before we can fit the spring to the trailer, we need to go and find some new nuts. Yes, the U-bolts that we took off have nylock nuts, and they are a use once item, so we need some new ones. So we'll head over to the drawers. We'll take the spring eye bolt as well with us, and see if we can go and find some new nylocks. Fingers crossed we've got them in stock. Here we go. Right, I reckon it's M10. Let's have a look, see what we've got. So, Just whip those off to start off with. Obviously I'll get a wire brush on these and give them a good clean up as well, because you can see quite clearly there's a lot of stuff in the threads that really shouldn't be in the threads. This is a normal M10, so we can use that for... Oh, it's not, look. It's not a 10, it's a 12. Hang on then. Let's keep going. See if we've got any 12 nylocs. We have. So these are a plain nut, we call these, without any, so they'd be easy just to check. Yeah, it feels pretty good, despite all the crud in the threads. They're going to need a bit of a clean up. I'm pretty sure that these U-bolts have grounded out on various rocks and bits and pieces over the years. Let's try it on this one. I'd like to build a... Oh, there we go, look. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that we are M12. So we'll stick that back in there. We're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4 for the U-bolts, and then 1 for the bolt for the eye bush. Cool, okay, right. Back to work. Oakley dokley. Right, the old nuts can go in the bin, because if they don't, then Andy will probably try and reuse them for something else, which is of course bad, because, well, they're knackered, aren't they? The nylon has all been worn away and they're no longer a nylon nut. So, ooh, good shot. Right, next job for me, off camera, because you want to watch this, but I'm going to get the wire brush, give these two U-bolts a good clean up. The eye bolt is absolutely mint. After what's 14 years, there is practically no corrosion on that whatsoever, and it's very clean. So we'll leave that alone. Got all the washers, got the new nuts, got the spring base plate, got the bump stop. Oh, by the way, if your bump stops are buggered, this one looks all right. It's just starting to delaminate just around the edges, but it feels very solid actually. It's even got a crack in the middle. Look at that. So now is a good time to replace these should they need it. I think this one will last a little bit longer yet, and we haven't got one. And we've got the wheel nut bolts, or wheel bolts. Okay, see you shortly. Well, it turns out these U-bolts need a bit more than just a wire brush. I've got all the gunge out of the, there you go, look. See the focus for you? Focus, damn you. There you go, look. Okay, so I've got pretty much all the crap out of the threads, but upon closer inspection, we've got some minor damage where the trailer's grounded out on curbs and bits and pieces, and it's just, I'm just not happy with it. So we'll go and run a dye down the threads and clean them up. Here we go. Right, where are we? Okay, we're going to need that, and I need an M12 dye. There we go, that'll do. Right, we'll stick that in there. Now, although it doesn't say it, so M12 by 1.5, I'm sure it is. So we'll stick those in there, look. Now you're going to go, Andy, that's never going to work, because it's never going to turn all the way around. Jeez, there's some crap in there. That is tight, okay. Because the, you know, it's too long. It's just going to, you know, get caught up on the other, you know, part of the U-bolt. Well, if you didn't know, most of these die holders you can remove the handles from, look. There's one, stick him in there. There's the other one. Obviously it makes it a lot harder to turn, but you can still hold the die. Right, this one's got a taper on both sides, so we'll start from that side, I think. Okay. All been wire brushed. We'll put a bit of this Forge, what is it? Drilling and cutting foam. It hasn't got a part number on it. It's just called drilling and cutting foam, which is a bit weird. Normally got the part number up there in a little box, but hey, it's all good. It's good stuff actually, really good. Because when you're tidying up threads, you still need a bit of lube on there, you know. Right, hardest part is getting it started. And you've got to take your time, because what I don't want to do is munch up the threads, because I haven't got any spare U-bolts. I'd have to order some, and that would take time. And this trailer has to go for its warranted fitness in a couple of days, because it needs to be used. Right, looks to me like we've got it sussed, so we'll stick a bit more spray on. That's going to work its way down as the whole thing warms up. Now remember, we're not cutting a thread, all we're doing is cleaning the threads out, so you can do a few turns at a time and then just go back to clear out the flutes. It's really good practice to do this, to be honest. It makes your life a lot easier. The last thing you want is a nut that you can't get onto the U-bolt where you're underneath the trailer and making a video for YouTube and it just won't go on and you start cursing and swearing. Almost there on this one. All the crap falling out. It's ridiculous, isn't it? How much stuff gets stuck in these threads. And this has already been wire brushed, by the way. Right, that's the bottom. That'll do. Not that we're going to use all the threads anyway, but it's good practice to clean them all out. Just looks right then, doesn't it? Looks like you've bothered to do a good job. Builds up your wrist muscles of this. My wrist is aching now. Okay, cool. Right, so let's get a cloth. Give that a bit of a wipe down. And we'll just check the nut can go on nice and easy, because that's the critical bit when we're under the trailer. There we go, look. Perfect. Much easier now. Okay, well, you've seen me do one. I'm just going to do exactly the same on this side. I suppose you're eager to see if I can get it to start just as easy as the first one. This one's pretty beaten up, to be honest. It might not go quite to plan. Okay, here goes. Now remember, with U-bolts, they're not actually parallel when they're unsprung. When they're taken off the trailer, they tend to spring out a bit. So you've got to accommodate that a bit when you're lining up your die. And we're going straight into having to try and clean the threads up, because there is actually some damage right at the start on this one. I think I even remember when I hit the curb with it. I was pulling off the road and the little wheels weren't big enough. We didn't have enough clearance. You're going to laugh at this one. You've got to persevere, take your time, and it will latch on. Just try and keep the angle correct as you rotate it. Jeez. I might have to get on this one with a file first, just to tidy it up manually. Maybe. He who dares, Rodney. Oh, jeez. Let's get a quick file. Hang on. Right, I've got a little triangle file. This might help. I have got a thread file somewhere. I might have to resort to that. Okay, try again. Sorry, you're way off camera there. I don't make many videos these days. Right, there we go. There was quite a bit of damage in the first sort of 3 or 4 threads. I mean, fortunately, once this is tightened up, the nut is nowhere near. There's 3 or 4 exposed threads once it's tight, so I'm not too concerned. It's going to be all right. The important bit's up here. This U-bolt actually looks slightly bent as well, believe it or not. See if I can get it on from the side. Probably not. Oh, we might be there now. Yes, we are. We got it. Okay. If it is really tight, you can always put one of the handles back in and then just keep swapping it around after every 180 turns. It's not ideal, I know, but because it can be a bit tight if they're really bad. Well, it's coming out pretty good, isn't it? At least I haven't cross-threaded it. That's always a worry. But honestly, a thread this size, I don't think you'd actually get anywhere without any handles on the die holder anyway, because there'd be that much torque required to recut the threads. So probably a bit of a saving grace. It is good stuff, this. I do like it. It can last forever. Well, almost forever. You get a lot of use out of one can. I think we're about there. We are. That is the end. very good die holder, is it? God. Good job. There we go. Right. Give it a clean. Looks a lot better. Where's that nut? Oh, look at that. Good job. Oh, my back's killing me today. Right, that's both U-bolts done. All nice and clean, shiny threads again now, look. So, I did actually run the dye down the bolt as well. Not that it really needed it, but, you know, just clears the last of the rubbish out of there. Okay, well, we can now reassemble. Here we go. Right, first job is to offer the spring up and thread it through the rear hanger. Right, next job, grab some of your Forge S424, an aluminium based sort of paste. It's really good stuff actually. And we'll just pull a bit out onto the brush. A tiny amount, there we go, I can see it coming through, there we go, that's all we need. And we'll just do the shank of the bolt, not the threads, because that would actually affect how the nylock nut would stand. It would reduce the friction on the nylock, and we don't want that. Okay, right, with that out of the way, we can now offer up the spring. Oh, so easy. Pop the bolt through. Stick the nut on the other side. There isn't a washer on this one actually, which is a bit weird, but anyway. Check the other bolts, there's no washers on those either, so it is what it is. That goes in there. We're going to tighten that up later on. Don't let me forget. And now we can lower down the axle and get it located onto the center bolt of the spring. Now, if you remember earlier on, we held up the axle using a ratchet strap. So we're going to try and lift the axle up without having to get up. There we go, get rid of the ratchet strap. And the aim of the game is to get that center bolt that goes through the spring, it's a locator, into the axle itself. There's a hole just on the underside. And you'll hear it go click when it's in the right place. Currently it's not, because we can see the gap. Now be careful of your fingers while you're doing this. It's not the simplest task. There we go. Perfect. Okay, next job is for me to go and get the bump stop, the U-bolts and the base plate. How's that for a shot? Good old mag mount for my phone is great. Okay, so I'll pop that on there. The U-bolts just drop through over the side of these little ears that stick up. And then all the magic, well, that happens down below. Right, not the easiest thing to film without a hoist, but anyway, we'll make the best of it. Okay, so we've got the spring base plate, and you can see here where the spring runs across in this direction. Sometimes they are equally spaced at the holes, so you can actually get it the wrong way around, but you soon find out. Okay, so we'll pop that in there, just thread one of the U-bolts. And sometimes you've got to spring them in because they do splay out when they're not in use. There we go. Where's my magic hammer? That'd be perfect for this job. And may I say, the first appearance on the Andy Mechanic YouTube channel of the new and improved magic hammer. It's brilliant. No, don't do that. Clearly not as good as the old magic hammer. Right. There we go. And this is by far the best way of doing this, by the way. Okay, that's pretty much in the right place. We've got all the alignment there, the bump stops in the right place. So now we can just stick on the new nuts with the old washer. They're only a plain washer, by the way. There's no need for them to have a spring washer or a lock washer, you call it, because, well, they're a nylock nut. So we'll stick all these on. Boom, boom, boom. See, it's so easy when you clean the threads out properly. You're not fighting it. It's just, it feels almost like new stuff, you know. Right, I'm just going to whiz these up. I'm not going to torque it just yet because we need to get a torque setting for these. And it's important that you do them up evenly. That's very important. Super duper. Right. Torque setting for those, and you've got to remind me to do up the spring eye bolt too. Right, Mr. Google, where are you? Let's have a look. Googly, googly, googly. Right, that one there will do nicely. Okay, so M12, 8.8 max torque in Newton meters, please. It's typical max and tightening torque, Newton meters, 99.8. So 100 Newton meters for an M12. Let's see what it says any more on there. Just go back in. Right, there we go. Look, so it's in Newton meters, M12, 99.8 for 8.8 grade bolt. So let's call it 100. Let's be a daredevil. We're almost there, aren't we? 99.8. Okay, back to the trailer. Okay, here we go. 100 Newton meters. That's a lot, isn't it? So we're just going to take this up nice and steady on each one. I hope the casting can go with it. I used to have the service manual for this trailer and I cannot find it anywhere. So if there's somebody at Ifor Williams screaming at me now going, that's too tight. I mean, first of all, it shouldn't really be too tight, but you know, they might. If that's the case, send me the service manual. You've got my email address. It's in the description. It's very useful. I don't know where I got it from originally. Wow. We are 100. Jeez. Dare I go any tighter? That, to me, in my professional opinion, feels tight enough. Let's find out what it is, approximately. So we're going down to 90. Nope, still turning. Going down to 80. 80 is still a lot, you know, really, for U-bolts. There we go, that's 80. Back up to 85. And it's still 85. Back to 90. No, it is. So we're just over 80. We'll try 87. Jeez. I would do 85. But, as always, stick to the service manual specs. But I think 85. Whoa, that was tight. I think 85 is enough for these, believe me. Hang on a minute, can I hear you say something? Oh, eye bolt. Don't forget the eye bolt. Very important. If that comes undone, you've got some serious problems. Okay, bear with me. We can do this where you are. No need for a camera move, I don't think. Right, 19mm socket on there. We've got our little rattle gun. Are you ready? Watch your ears. Jeez! That was noisy. Okay, same size bolt as the U-bolts. So we can torque that down. Now remember to use your torque wrench on the nut and not on the bolt head. That's important. I might just push you back a bit. There we go. Look, how's that? That'll work better. This is where a hoist really comes in because you can't quite get the leverage from down here. Right, it's turning. So where's my spanner? I'll stick him on there. I'll rest him on there. Rest him on there. Okay, bear with me. I really want to torque this down as well. Stay. There we go. Right, so he's locked in as the old spanner. It might ping off, so we'll be careful. See, if you're on a hoist, you can pull down using body weight. Actually quite difficult under a trailer when you're about a foot off the ground. There we go. Now that's 85. We can probably go a bit tighter on that one because it's just a normal bolt. Let's go to 95. What the hell? Let's live dangerously. I'd rather it be too, plenty tight enough. I don't want it coming loose again. There we go. Done. Back to the bench. Jeez, 5 to 5. I better get cracking. So last job, fit the wheel. Make sure you get the correct way around with the valve to the outside. Torque setting for the wheel nuts on the Ifor Williams trailers is 88 Newton meters, according to, well, their website. Okay, here we go. Perfect. It's a bloody good little trailer, this one, to me. Although I'm never a fan of these things. I like proper wheel studs and nuts, not wheel bolts. But hey, you can't have everything in this world. We all know that. Right. That will require torquing with a torque wrench. Okay, now on Ifor Williams trailers, just while we're here, there is always a little bit of play on the wheel bearings. Not a lot, but a little tiny bit, because they're a sealed bearing, you can't adjust them. There's already a video on the channel changing one of these bearings. It might have even been this one, actually. I think it was, so you can hear the play. But that's normal. When they warm up, that goes away. Usually. Okay, let's get the trailer put down, put the handbrake on, and then we can torque that up. "88 Newton meters. That's what the book says, so we'll just do it in bits. Come back, socket. We haven't finished yet. Job done. So, there you go. Fitting a new spring eye bush to an Ifor Williams trailer. In this case, an LT105G, one of the smaller ones. But the same principle will apply to basically all of the Ifor Williams trailers. In fact, to be perfectly honest, the majority of Lee-sprung trailers on the planet will follow this same procedure or very similar. There's always a covenant in these videos. Please make sure that you follow the manufacturer's service manual when working on your trailer. I can't give you all the information. Although, to be fair, it really is in the video. Okay, so I better crack on. I've got the other side of this rear axle to do, and then it can go for a warrant of fitness. And then I think the other two bushes I'm going to stick into stock for now, because the ones on the front axle actually are in really good nick. So it might well be that these other two end up in the rear axle again at some point in the future, when the one we've just fitted is worn out. I don't know. Who knows what the future holds. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, why not click on the subscribe button, ring the bell, and that way our friends at YouTube will send you an email or some kind of notification as and when I upload any new videos. Usually a video every week, and of course don't forget the live stream on a Sunday morning, 8:30 AM. You'll also find me on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Feel free to communicate through any of those portals. You can also email me directly, andymechanic@live.co.uk. It's down there in the description in this video. Now, if you'd like to pledge towards the channel to donate, you can do that through Patreon or through PayPal. And there's also a super comment that's suddenly been released by YouTube that only got launched a couple of days ago. So hey, why not try that out? You can send a couple of bucks through on that as well. Okay, crew, well, thank you very much for joining. Hopefully it wasn't too long a video. We've covered a few bits and pieces, quite important stuff. You know, trailers are pretty much as important as the vehicle that's towing it. You've got to get it right. But hopefully this video's made things a little bit easier for you, so that you maybe want to tackle the job yourself rather than pay your local garage an absolute fortune to do what is essentially quite a simple job. Okay, crew, well, until next time, cheers, over and out. Yes.